If we think about the 1970s, as I do an awful lot, there will be many memories that will spring to our minds in an instant. The nostalgia of chopper bikes and Tiz was on the TV, flared trousers and big collars, or big platform shoes and glam rock music, and who'd blame you? They were fantastic. But what about the things that we have almost forgotten about, or the inconveniences that we would not put up with or not be so grateful for today, or even the things that we did that will be less safe today? That is what we're going to talk about. What we will remember and probably say, "Oh, I'd almost forgotten that until I watched your video, Mickey Bavington." So, let's go. Leaving prams or pushchairs outside the shop or the post office while you engaged in your shopping or your post office business. The weather, if it was warm, the baby was completely safe, or even on winter days they were wrapped up and you could just glance through the window from time to time just to make sure they were okay. Chances are you come out of the shop and probably see a neighbour fussing over the baby and stopping for a chat. It's totally unheard of today in this changing and rather more scary world. Nobody would dream of it, would they? Window shopping was a phrase that many of us had heard back in the 1970s. People would browse through shops and department stores for homemaking ideas, or even take wallpaper samples or even carpet samples home from the outlets to discuss their decorating ideas with their families. Do you remember those heavy books with these thick squares of carpet that you took home and did something with them, but they were taken from the shops, quite voluntary, but very seldom got returned. Folks would browse through shop windows when they were closed before shutters became necessary, just to pass the time of day or just whilst waiting for a bus. Now, this would certainly inconvenience people now. But when you wanted to watch your favourite TV programme on the TV, you had to be home to watch it. Very few people had even heard of video recorders, so there was no chance of catch-up TV or programmes being repeated constantly throughout the week on Plus channels. If you missed your show or you missed that film, that was it. Yes, it would be repeated, but not for quite a while afterwards. Plus, if a movie was out in the cinemas and you missed it, it could be years before it ended up on TV. That was before VHS or DVD came as an interim. Nowadays, you've only got to wait 5 minutes, haven't you? With those Fire Stick things. We waited for letters or parcels or items that we had ordered. There was much more waiting in our social past, and it was something that we all accepted. Even hire purchase credit checks would take time. So if you applied for a catalogue or a item on HP, you'd be contacted by letters in a few days, or if you had a telephone, to find out whether you'd been accepted or got turned down. On many occasions, you'd receive no notice at all. Your item that would simply arrive, or it wouldn't. The letters from friends, instead of text messages, were more exciting to wait for. Apart from bank statements, of course, we were happy to see those delayed. The please allow 28 delivery rule, that is still in contract today in the small print, was indeed that long to wait for on some occasions. No next day delivery. And if you were waiting for an item that you had ordered, you just hoped to be in when it was arriving, because there was no pre-warning text messages saying we're on our way within the next 2 hours. Turning over to TV. We had 3 channels in the 1970s. We didn't get Channel 4 till 1982. This meant, without view on demand, you had to watch whatever was thrown on your screens, or you just simply had to find something else to do. Many of us remember either saying there's nothing on the TV, which simply meant there was nothing worth watching, or you get 2 decent programs on at the same time, and you'd have to choose which one you're going to view. More than disappointment, this would cause rows in many households, with the younger members of the families always having no say whatsoever. Many people just had one TV in their house. So, if you had George and Mildred on one side, for example, and the Bruce Forsyth's Generation game on the other side, you would be in a dilemma, or even a trilemma if MASH was on BBC Two. Now, I can remember some people would even skip channels between the adverts just to get a glimpse of what was showing on the other side. Remember, it's going to be years before these programs are going to get repeated. Let's go to school. Mathematics at school. Well, not so much pure maths, but having books and more books. Remember the logarithm and the anti-logarithm books? Many of us would prefer to forget. Remember finding the logarithms and adding them together and looking up the antilog to reveal the answer, which also included sines, cosines and tangents. Well, we've got John Napier to thank for that, the guy that invented it. That book that I've just mentioned that we'll probably find very hard to put down today. I wonder how many people use them after leaving school. And there was Napier's rods too, remember? I bet you don't. Apparently it was a simpler system to work out large multiplication values by adding them together instead of using long multiplication. Now I know that's all become clear to you now. But I imagine that no one's ever talked about those books for years. Lesson 2 with Mickey. Quadratic equations, remember? X equals minus b plus or minus the square root of 4ac over 2a squared. That is all I can remember. But we did have a lot of books to carry to and from school every single day. Exercise books, dictionaries, French learning books, and who remembers Longman's Audio-Visual French with Madame et Monsieur Massot? With a teacher putting French conversations on these old reel-to-reel tape recorders for you to listen and repeat. Écoutez et répétez. It was bonjour tout le monde, asseyez-vous, and that was it. That's all I can remember. Plus, if you made anything in woodwork or metalwork, that you had to buy it before you could take it home. And home economics is what we call cookery. Worse for the girls. Remember we were talking in the 1970s where men apparently didn't cook. Now I wonder, ladies, did you have to pay for the gas that you used before sticking in your Swiss roll in the oven? We had one. As men, we all had a cookery lesson. We had to do beans on toast. Bring our own toast and beans. We got the butter, I think, or it was margarine. That was generous, wasn't it? And we were allowed to eat it at school. Here's one that I've delved deep into my mind to try to remember. My mother had one of these. They were tightly folded up plastic hats, rain hats, with an elastic band around them. And when it rained, you opened up this tight piece of plastic which seems to go really massive and very thin. And hey presto, you got an instant covering from the rain. Trouble was, they were plastic and they kept in the heat. So they might have kept you dry from the rain, but your head would sweat and the humidity would make you damp anyway. And did anyone ever succeed in refolding one of these things? Let me know. You can still buy them today, apparently. And what about those things we had to share that we didn't particularly want to? Such as instead of getting our news on our phones or our tablets, we'd share the newspaper or the comic or magazine, waiting to get that copy from a family member who insisted on reading every single line of every little topic before handing it over. Right? The one telephone in the whole household. Sometimes you had to share the party at the line if you had a party line. Perhaps that electronic heater that got moved from room to room. And as for shower gel and specific shampoo, you can forget it. There was one bar of soap shared by the whole family and one bottle of family shampoo, normally called family pack or large economic bottle. We all used it regardless whether we had normal hair or dry hair or dandruff hair. I've just remembered Sunlight Washing Up Liquid and Lux Washing Flakes for your clothes. Now, in the 1970s, it was considered posh to have a shower, and most of us only had baths. But there was that wonderful adapter, rubber pipe that you put over your taps, and then it led up to a sort of shower unit. The problem was you had to turn those taps to get it calibrated to get that temperature you wanted to get that shower. However, somebody's only got to turn the tap on in the kitchen with a cold water and you were scalded, or the opposite way around and you were freezing. Plus, I can't ever remember using those without it all leaking out of the taps into the bath anyway, so you never got the pressure. Happy days. Right, for those who have not seen this channel before, this is what Mickey Bavington does. That's me. I've made a good few videos about this type of history and social history, and a lot of you have watched and commented, to which I'm absolutely grateful for. We go over the last 50 to 60 years. Always happy to have any inspirational ideas. I'll always try. And I don't use AI for my speaking, as you can tell. Thank you very much for watching. I'm very grateful to you all.